and we thank them for their service today on behalf of veterans and all Americans. Gentlemen, ladies, thank you for your service. Thank you for being with us today. I'm going to ask Vietnam veteran Pete Sasso to come, please, and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Detail, present, arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Detail, order, arms.
Ask you for a moment of silence so that we can consider all of the brave men and women who throughout the course of the years have sacrificed their life on behalf of this nation so that we could enjoy the blessings of freedom. A moment of silence, if you would. Thank you. We're gathered today at a very difficult time, a time that we've never seen before in our lives. However young you may be or however old you may be, we have never gone through a pandemic which required us to socially distance, all 9 of us, 10 of us here today, and to have on masks to protect each other from any potential spread. And we've lost a lot of special events in our lives. For those of you who are Jewish, we lost the full benefit of the Passover season, the Seder family gathering. For those of you who are Christian, the period from Palm Sunday through Lent to the joy of Easter Sunday, we lost having that in our various houses of worship. For those who may be Muslim, the month of Ramadan, of fast and contemplation, and the iftars that follow the end of that. We didn't have a proper Mother's Day where you could take Mom out to brunch so that at least one day of the year she didn't have to cook. We lost St. Patrick's Day, being half Irish and half Italian. I hope I don't lose Columbus Day later in the year. But St. Patrick's Day is a great day for those of Irish-American heritage to enjoy. For those who are of Mexican heritage, we lost Cinco de Mayo. And we all lost the opening of Little League Baseball, which is always a great experience. There's a field down in New Rochelle, Tochi Field, which is always where they open down in New Rochelle. And Ron and I have stood there for Little League openings many days, and the enjoyment of starting the baseball season is there. The only good thing I can say is the Mets haven't lost yet this year. But the harsh reality is that as we lose these ceremonies and symbolisms, we sacrifice them on the altar of health. Because those amongst us, particularly the veterans of a certain age who have served this nation, cannot be put in the face of a pandemic, of a virus that spreads between people very easily and has already cost 1,300 people their lives. So we avoid those ceremonies, and we hope that there'll be a brighter day and soon where not only can the economy open, but we can go back to celebrating those things that we believe in. But Memorial Day is more important than any of the days I've mentioned. I miss St. Patrick's Day and I miss opening day for Little League. But Memorial Day is a day that we cannot forget. We're required to remember that men and women, primarily young men and women, made the ultimate sacrifice of their life. And the sacrifice they made, they did it on behalf of their country. Their country sent them to war to defend certain principles and interests. And the Civil War was the first such war for which there was Decoration Day afterwards. And the battle between the North and the South was a battle that was very bloody. Over 600,000 Americans died in that conflict. And whether it was the Spanish-American War, the First World War, the Second World War, the Korean conflict, Korean War, the Vietnam War, actions that have occurred in the Middle East throughout the course of the last 20 years, almost 30 years now since Desert Shield, in every one of those cases, young men and women responded to the call of their nation. Now, on Veterans Day, we honor all veterans. If you put the uniform of this country on and you went through basic training, you made a sacrifice for this country. 2 years of your life, 4 years of your life, maybe some of your buddies were getting ahead in business, but you served your country. All veterans we honor. But Memorial Day is even more special because that is where people died for us. And the fact that we go to monuments all across this county and in every place in the nation, we look at names and we see the names lined up, we hear them read in our communities. the fact that we won't have those services available to us as we go forward this year in quite the same way is difficult. Now, Memorial Day for some people is the beginning of the summer season. It feels like the first day of summer. We're opening beaches today for Memorial Day to start that celebration. But the most important part of Memorial Day is that we honor our war dead. And that's why we're here today at Lasden, where the county government, long before my tenure in office, made the decision that this park, this beautiful homestead that was granted to the county, would be a place to remember our veterans. And all of us in government and out of government understand that the sacrifice is so great that we don't dare forget it. And that's why we're here today. We're also joined by our Deputy County Executive, Ken Jenkins, who is with us here, as well as other members of our executive team. Our Commissioner of the Parks Department, Kathy O'Connor, is with us. She has a busy day at hand. She's going to be monitoring every one of our county parks to make sure that we socially distance and do all that stuff. But we're very happy that we're here at Lasden to start the day. I'd like to ask our head of Veterans Affairs, Ron Tochi, to share a few words. No one in this county has had a longer, more profound career helping veterans than Ron has during his years as a county legislator, his years in the State Assembly, in which he headed the Veterans Affairs Committee over an extended period of time, and then his work as a commissioner here in this county government and under prior administrations. He was preceded by Vito Pinto, who was also here with us, and I'm going to recognize the firing team from VFW Westchester Post 2285 in a minute. But Ron has served this nation in the armed forces of this nation, and he served this county in numerous ways. Ron Tochi.
Thanks, George. It's always difficult to follow George. Everything I was going to say, he's already said. And talking about how long I've served, this county, it's a nice way for him to say I'm old. But that's okay. We today is unique to say the least. And as you heard George talk about the significance of Memorial Day, honoring our war dead, at the same time, we do celebrate. We celebrate America. We celebrate our way of life. We celebrate the fact that our grandchildren and everybody understand that they're safe and they're playing, and we have on normal times barbecues and fireworks and a lot of good things. But today is unique. The country, the world, in the middle of a pandemic. Obviously, things are very, very difficult. We are now all social distancing. We're going through a lot of trauma. There are people in need of all kinds of counseling and so on and so forth. But we should be mindful of the fact that those that gave the ultimate sacrifice, defending our way of life, they lost it all. They lost it all. So when we begin to gripe about not being able to go to a movie or going outside, being with your friends, mindful of the fact that these people, they're not with us. They cut their lives short defending our nation and our way of life. So today is special, and it should mean a lot to everybody when you pause for a moment and you think about those souls that didn't live their life to the potential. And at the same time, we realize that we must continue. As George suggested, we don't forget. And by that I mean, what can we do for those whose names are inscribed in memoriam? We try to live up to the expectations of what this country is supposed to be. And by that, we have to remind all our elected officials and all those people and teach our youth about what America is and what it stands for and what we do to continue to pass on to future generations that torch of liberty and freedom and America as the beacon for the whole world, and as we defended nations all around this world ever since its inception. So I am, first of all, delighted that we have people representing the entire military community throughout the county. We have with us today Bob Bodie, who's the commander of the American Legion countywide, and Richie Calbo, who is adjutant, and they represent the committee that the county executive puts together as an advisory group for all the things that the county does to ensure that the services and the benefits of this county are applied to all those veterans who earned it. So again, I can only say thank you for being here today. Make it a meaningful day. God bless our veterans, and may the Supreme Commander always keep him in his eternal army. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Ron. And now the aforementioned Eastchester VFW Post 2285 will provide us a rifle salute. Our good friends Vito Pinto, Bob Foster, and Peter Cirincione to provide us that reminder that we take up arms only when we have to, but we take up arms to defend the things we believe in. Gentlemen?
Detail, present, arms. Detail, order, arms.
We want to thank as well George Bennett, Vietnam veteran, who is here with us to provide taps. These are very short services because of the circumstances and the time, but the feelings we feel are very sincere and deep. It's a long weekend ahead of us. We hope everyone will be safe. We hope you'll enjoy the fruits of a good weekend. But I know in this group it will be true, and I hope it's true for all Americans, all Westchester residents, that we'll take time in whatever town or city or village we live in to go to the village green. There won't be a ceremony there necessarily. Eastchester, Chappaqua, Newcastle, Rye City are doing things on video. There'll be some small ceremonies in a couple of other communities. There'll be some decoration of graves at cemeteries with flags. But there won't be the big parades that we've had in the past. But every day in our hearts can be Memorial Day. And when we go to those plaques, look at those names, remember exactly, as Ron said, what an ultimate sacrifice is. And let us be grateful that those people were there, and that's why we're free today. Thank you for your time. Color Guard, dismissed.
Detail, up. Detail, left base. Forward, march.
Thank you again to the Westchester County Department of Public Safety, men and women of the Color Guard unit of the police department. We appreciate their service. Thank you all again for being here today. Be safe. We'll see you soon, and at some point in time before this year is over, maybe for Veterans Day, we'll be able to have the more robust celebration that we look forward to. Thank you all, and may God keep you safe.